Yeah, so I was born and raised out in Oak Park.
Where's
Oak Park's near Thousand Oaks.
Got it.
It's here in California.
Okay.
So I consider myself a Los Angeles native.
Got it.
And I ended up in San Diego through way of high school, and then went to Arizona State for 2 years, and then transferred to University of San Diego in January of 2007.
Got it.
Yeah.
So what did you major in over there?
I majored in business administration.
So the big question is, why did you pick business? Because I picked business back when I went to college and changed it immediately.
Yeah.
But you stuck with it.
Yeah, I was really interested. I had a friend tell me to read that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Oh, yeah.
And in looking at the cash flow quadrant, I knew I wanted to get onto the investment side of things. And business just made the most sense. It was like the most organic route to go.
Okay.
And that's still my long-term goal, is real estate investor.
So you did San Diego. You graduated there.
Yep, graduated USD.
From what I researched, you also end up overseas.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so that was while I was at University of San Diego. I had searched for classes on their website that had to do with investments. And there was one being offered called Commercial Real Estate Finance and Investments. And it was being offered in Hong Kong. And I had actually never been outside the United States, 21 years old, maybe a couple times to Mexico, but that was it. And went and studied abroad there. And started learning about real estate investments. And they would partner with different companies like CB Richard Ellis, and we'd go to their office and they'd give us a macroeconomic update on what was going on in commercial real estate throughout the world. So it was like one of the most life-changing experiences I ever had.
And you were a mere 21 years old.
Yeah, I was 21 years old.
And well, what's mind-boggling to me is at 21, you wanted to learn about commercial real estate.
Yeah, yeah. I know, and when I got back to the university, I actually went to the career services department and I said, hey, I want to get into real estate. Can you help me out? So they helped me form my resume and cover letter. And I ended up getting a job with Marcus and Millichap, an internship with the #1 multifamily guy in the company at the time. His name was John Walsh. And I got to work for him. I think this was 2008.
Well, let's talk about that. Marcus Millichap, because they're fantastic.
Yeah,
they got
definitely.
They got a hell of a reputation.
Yeah, very good training.
Right, just to get in, from what I understand, is difficult.
Yeah. I had some relationships. I don't know if you know who Kyle Matthews is, but it's like Clay Matthews, that whole family, that football family. I grew up with that family, and he had been working there, and he was my in. And then once I was there, I learned you really can't do anything without a real estate license. Right. So that's when I signed up to take classes and get my license, was through Marcus. And they didn't have their training. They don't have a licensing program, so don't worry. You guys are good.
We're still the best.
Kind of funny thing about that, the timing of all of that internship was in 2008. And as I went back for my last semester, fall of 2008, was the global financial crisis. So when I got my license in early 2009, I decided to hold off for a few years before diving into real estate.
Got it.
I actually coached college football. I worked for a startup internet company and helped out with a family business for a few years.
So why commercial? I'm just curious. Before we move on,
so
I mean, real estate's broad, but you went straight to commercial.
Yeah, and that was mainly because of the investment side of things. I just wanted to be an investor, and for whatever reason, my mind told me I needed to be on the commercial side to do that. But what I would learn is my first opportunity in real estate was actually working with flippers at an investment company, but on the residential side. And just from being in commercial, which I think is an incredible industry, I realized I'd actually have more success on the residential side of things because of my personality. Right. And I like to be out of the office, meeting with people, and by the end of the day, those guys are making 100 calls a day. They're some of the most dedicated people I've ever seen.
Well, let's go down that road.
Yeah, definitely.
Commercial and real estate.
Yeah.
What's the major difference in both of these sections in real estate?
You mean residential and commercial?
Yeah, residential and commercial.
I would say that commercial is more systematized. You're at a desk Monday through Friday. You make a lot of calls. It's more of like an 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. type thing.
Okay.
And residential, you're meeting with your clients mostly on the weekends and in the evenings and afternoons. And most of the lead generation is done in person, networking, door knocking, cold calling for the appointment to meet in person. a lot of my friends in the commercial real estate sector are selling product all over the country, and they're able to do so by phone primarily by phone. They'll go to big meetings in person.
Anything else substantially different from these two types of careers? For example, closing your first deal. Commercial, residential.
Yeah, commercial is going to definitely take you a bit longer to close that first deal. The transaction process is not the quick 30-day escrow.
Okay.
More oftentimes than not, that'll take a few months for escrows.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never dabbled in commercial. It just seemed like a scary beast to me.
Yeah.
So
and there's so many different asset classes, right? There's multifamily, there's triple net, there's industrial. So it's even just to say commercial real estate is like so broad. And within that, I only got exposure to one small sector, which was multifamily, which isn't that far off from residential. It's the closest to residential. Right. Definitely.
Now, when you hit big, I'm guessing, as far as commission is concerned?
Yeah, so oftentimes in commercial, the commissions can be more substantial. But here in Los Angeles, as you know, like I'll look at some of these residential guys like Josh Altman, and he's clearing more than almost every commercial guy I know just from luxury residential sales.
Right.
So it's by the end of the day, the whole business is built on leads, whether it's commercial or residential. And I think from getting some exposure to commercial, I became curious and wanted to see what the other side was see what residential was like.
How about contracts? Are contracts any different, residential and commercial?
Yeah, so in residential, especially here in California, we all use car forms, and some people still use that for some multifamily deals or even air forms. But for the most part, if I look at some of my buddies' contracts I'm actually an investor, and I part owner of a strip center out in Memphis, Tennessee. And when I'm reading through that contract, it is it's not a systematized contract like a standard car form.
And that's just that for commercial, from what I understand. Again, I don't go near it, but I had a commercial specialist once, a good friend of mine. He actually also worked for Marcus & Millichap. Anyways, he ended up coming at Keller Williams. And I said, hey, do me a favor, can you teach me something about commercial? And he started writing some stuff on the board. Seemed very complicated to me. And I said, you know what, stop, get the hell out of here. I don't want to learn this stuff. It can't be a complete foreign language for somebody.
Right? So that's part of the initial startup time, why it takes a little bit longer, is there's a lot more math. You're speaking that language to other investors, helping them always upgrade their portfolio, accomplish their goals, figure out what their risk profile is, versus residential, which by the end of the day, we all need food, water, shelter. And sometimes it's hard to financially articulate like what a home is worth to somebody when there's so much emotion in it.
Right. So let me ask you this. What would you recommend for somebody who's newly licensed, right? Because a lot of them want to say, you know what, commercial, I want to go straight to commercial to make the big money. But what do you advise on that?
So what I always advise is I do something called a needs analysis, like when I meet with someone to help them navigate that sort of a scenario and figure out the reason that they want to get into commercial or the reason that they want to get into residential. And then once they say commercial, I then will ask them, what asset class? And a lot of times new agents have no idea about all the different options within commercial. So I would just say if a particular asset class in commercial interests you and you're just getting your license, see if you could do similar to what I did, go get an internship. Even if the pay isn't very good or you need to work for free to help out a commercial team in an asset class that matters to you, I'd say just go do that to see if you like it or not. Good
advice. Would it be fair to say starting off in residential, if you're new, might be a softer?
I think so. I think it is a little bit easier. The barrier to entry in real estate in general to get a license it's not a super, super high barrier, which is why so many people have their licenses. But the skill set it takes for either of them, I think the residential skill set's easier to understand. Usually within like 100 days, you have a pretty good idea of what you're doing.
So you can get off and running and make some money. Got it. I saw another interview with you before. And you spoke about the statistics from NAR. And I knew that statistic, and I hate statistics, but they are what they are. They're black and white. Regarding the first 18 months.
Yes, the good old I believe it's an 85% failure rate, and that could have been updated in the last year or two.
It's a high rate that new agents don't last. Now, I want to see if we can tackle this for a second.
Yeah,
Johnny, what is it that an agent is not doing to succeed in real estate for those first 18 months? I mean, like you were saying, they learned a skill set.
Yeah.
And they have people skills. I'm guessing residential, like you recommended to start off with, is a people business.
Yeah.
What could it possibly be that they're not doing that's making them phase away?
When I just look at like our company in particular, and I see the attrition rate is much lower, it's down closer towards 30%.
Oh, nice.
It's because we set people up with systems and training and mentorship. So we're basically giving them all the tools to be successful, but it's ultimately going to be up to that individual agent. We treat them as business owners, and it's all about lead generation. The whole business is built on their ability to time, on task, over time, move forward with lead generating. Nice. That's what it all comes down to.
Lead generating.
Yeah.
I think also you just hit it, and let's go into that. Your brokerage, which is Keller Williams Santa Monica, provides these people with the right education, the right training.
Yeah.
That's important then.
It's so important because they need the skills and the tools to have some of these really challenging conversations. Selling a house or selling a commercial property can oftentimes be like the single largest financial transaction someone makes. And you really need to be prepared to have those conversations at a high level. And I think we do a really good job of doing that. Like the statistics will show that. I also think that a lot of people think this industry is easier than what it really is. There's a lot of shows these days like Million Dollar Real Estate Agent or Selling Sunset. And I talk to people all the time and say, oh, it's fun. You get to just drive around and look at houses all day.
Right.
And I was like,
you're dressed all dapper.
Yeah, I'm dressed all dapper.
Best sports car,
And then I tell them, yes, that's exactly what we do. Every single day, we're in multi-million-dollar houses, just looking at houses and fixtures. But no, it's much more than that.
Good. And also, as far as millennials is concerned, you're a millennial,
I am. I recently read I'm a Zennial, which means I'm a later generation millennial. I guess there's like people that are in their 30s now that are classified as millennials are technically Zennials. Yeah.
That's
fascinating.
Sounds interesting.
Yes, but yes, I'm a millennial.
So you're a Zennial, millennial.
Yeah.
What's different from the perspective of millennial to somebody who's done this for so long? This career. Is there a difference?
Yeah.
Are their expectations different?
Yeah, definitely. So when someone's coming into the industry, they need to figure out what their game plan is going to be.
And we're referring to millennials?
It could be a millennial. Let's say a millennial just coming into the industry.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll hear that their game plan involves social media or YouTube or video. And for someone who's tried and true and been doing it for 20 years without that and has no interest in going and learning about Instagram or social media platforms, I just say keep doing what they're doing. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Nice.
However, with millennials, there is this additional opportunity to take advantage of some of these platforms. Really, age doesn't matter. Anyone could take advantage of the platform. But I think we grew up with it. And pretty much everyone I know in my generation is on Instagram and Facebook. And then they end up integrating it into their business as well.
Do millennials want things done quickly?
Yeah, I was going to say that as well. So we're definitely in an era of instant gratification, which has affected the real estate agents significantly. If you were to go ask all your clients like when they expect a response from their real estate agent when they reach out, it's they better pick up or text me immediately. So now more than ever with cell phones and texting, we have to be on the ball to get people information quickly.
What's the best way? What are the best programs out there to learn this stuff? To learn, say, social media, to learn things like that.
I think YouTube is an incredible tool. It's free, and it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. Are you looking to build a brand on Instagram? Are you looking to actually build a clientele base? What is the goal of it? And I think that's important with any form of lead generation, or if it is social media, is like, why am I doing this? Am I posting pictures of me in this house just for fun? Or is there a purpose? Like, what's the call to action? How does this eventually lead to revenue back in my pocket?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Good enough.
Yeah.
Right, let me ask you also, interesting stuff.
Yeah.
As far as that stuff, because a lot of that technical stuff, I have no idea.
Yeah.
And I've been doing this 25 years, real estate.
Yeah.
And I'm, like you said, and I love the way you said it, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
I'm not broke, I'm not fixing it.
You can hire people. You can surround yourself with talent that does understand it, right?
So a millennial who wants to get into commercial.
Yeah.
We just talked about it 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Commercial can take time.
Yeah.
Would a millennial, would they be driving themselves in the right direction if they chose commercial as a career, if it takes time?
Yeah, I think it depends on what they want to accomplish and like their original interest in commercial. I don't think something like social media is as effective with commercial as it is with residential. So like I would say just follow the recipe in commercial, which is make the 100 cold calls a day. Literally try to make 500 contacts a week, or 500 calls a week, I should say. But just like follow that recipe. I don't recommend one way or another, residential or commercial. I very much think it just depends on the person's personality type and the reason that they're getting into it.
Johnny, what's your passion?
Like outside of real estate or within real estate?
Within real estate.
It's helping leadership development. So I'm the president of Keller Young Professionals Los Angeles. And one of my favorite things to do is to feed into other people and see them shine. So like help them be who they were born to be.
Well, how do you help them? Tell me about that.
Yeah. So it all starts with getting to know them and what makes them tick. So let's say they're getting into real estate. It's figuring out why are they getting into real estate and then figuring out a game plan to help them accomplish their goals. And what I really like about leading agents and managing agents versus selling is sometimes I'd work with a buyer. They'd buy a house and not want to make another transaction for 10 years or 20 years, right? With leadership development, it's meeting every single day during the week with these agents, making sure that they're coming to the classes, really feeding into them and going from someone who knows nothing about real estate all the way up to building out a team doing real estate transactions.
And you like doing that?
I love it.
Really?
Yeah,
so
I love it.
So somebody's interested in, I don't know, getting involved in this kind of stuff. Where can they find the program?
Yeah, so they could either contact me directly or KWYP Los Angeles. Our Instagram handles at KWYP LA. And one of the reasons we launched Keller Williams Young Professionals here in Los Angeles was to make introductions of this young millennial talent to some of the owners of these offices, because there's a gap right now. A lot of times the money it takes to acquire, let's say, a Keller Williams franchise or one of these big real estate companies is so much that it's usually an older generation that makes that acquisition. And then as they go to look for talent to run that company, the best source of talent is going to come from something like this, from a division of people that are committed to raising the law of their own leadership lid.
So one of the ways I'm able to quickly assess people or talent is by gauging their DISC profile.
All right.
And
let's talk about that.
Yeah. So this is all part of what I call the needs analysis. Is the second I sit down with somebody, I start asking them questions to understand how they operate. And just based on a bunch of their nonverbal behavioral style traits and also what they're saying, I'm able to start piecing together what type of person this is. And it's a very non-judgmental process. So for instance, for leadership, I look for people that fall into the D and the I categories. D stands for driver, I think is influencer. But when people take that test and they have a very high DI, they're oftentimes the type of
people that are born to lead, but they're maybe not the most organized people, or maybe they're not as attentive to details as the other side of the spectrum, the SC. So I see talent on both sides, and I think like the best business relationships have a combination of both. Maybe you have one DI and another SC, and together they're like a complete team. So
So it's just different talents then.
Yeah, there's just different types of talent by the end of the day.
Whether you fall on the D, the I, the S, or the C.
Yeah, I approach it with like zero judgment.
Right.
Zero judgment.
So you don't expect, hey, I only want all of the Ds. You'll take a C all day long.
Oh yeah. And then usually there's a leading behavioral trait, like one that's more dominant, and then a secondary one, and then there's a bit of a drop off. So oftentimes you'll get someone who's like a DC, and you're like, wow, that's kind of contradictory. Like you have this person who's a high driver. They're very energized to go out and get results every day, but they're also very they pay good attention to details. They're perfectionists. Yeah. And if I had to say like a Steve Jobs could have been a DC, I know Gary Keller is a DC. So none of this is bad nor good, but it helps us understand the positions to put them in that are going to make them the most successful and ultimately the most happy.
You ever take a DISC test?
Yeah, I'm a DC also, so I know it when I see it.
Do you miss selling, or do you still sell real estate?
No, I don't sell real estate anymore. I don't really miss it, no. I guess I'm just so focused on what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, this last topic we talked about, I see the passion in you.
Yeah.
You really want people to rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
What do people do? Let's talk about bad habits. What do some new agents or agents who are in the business now? Yeah. What are some bad habits they have that if you could just take it away from them to make them successful? What do you see every now and then?
Yeah, I think the people that don't calendar their time or time block to lead generate, those are the people that struggle the most. So if someone comes into my office and they're having trouble building their real estate business, it's always going to come back to tell me about your lead generation. Like what sort of time are you allocating in your schedule to make the contacts that you need to get the appointments you need, to get the contracts you need, to get the closings you need to ultimately fund the life that you're looking to live.
Right. So, now, you know what's funny is when I first started in real estate, I would just wing everything. Scheduling, whatever, I'm going to do it. And I did it maybe the 8th year into my career. I started doing it, and you're right, it worked tremendously. Now, based on that, I'm glad you answered that. I want to go into your guide that you created. Yeah. Right? Can we talk about your guide?
Yeah, definitely.
Tell us about that.
So I'm actually working on like a second version. I've pulled off the first version and rolling out a second version in the next couple of months.
Tell us the scope. What do you got?
Yeah. So in real estate, there's only so much that we're able to control. And like we can't control whether a buyer chooses to buy, a seller chooses to sell, an investor chooses to invest. Sometimes a buyer chooses to buy, and then during that process, they choose not to buy, right? So we really can't control anything on a daily basis except the amount of time we're spending towards people we contact. So we can control how many people we're contacting on a daily basis with the intention to inspire them or influence them to sit down for an appointment with us. And at those appointments is when we talk about the buy process or the sell process. But the Hustler's Hand Guide for Real Estate Agents.
That's what it's called. Let's be clear what it's called. What is
the Hustler's Hand Guide for Real Estate Agents.
They can find it online somewhere.
They will be able to in a couple of months because I'm revising it to put
Hustler's Guideline to Real Estate.
And what it really is just an accountability tool to track your contacts.
I love it.
And in real estate, I always say like no one ever dies during a real estate transaction. Like agents can feel nervous about an escrow situation.
Sometimes it feels like you're gonna die.
But it's not they're not heart surgeons, and no one's ever gonna die during a transaction. So it's calm down, get back to making your contacts, and you can handle the escrow immediately after. So it's every morning focusing on making your contacts. And that's your only non-negotiable. And after you make your contacts, you start to track your ratios. So how many calls am I making? Out of all the calls I'm making, how many are leading to contacts? Out of those contacts, how many are leading to appointments? Out of those appointments, how many are converting to listings or buyer-broker agreements signed? And then once you get a listing, how many of those listings are actually selling or working with the buyer? How many of those buyers are buying? And by doing that process, you're able to identify gaps in your business. So for instance, if you're great at making all of your contacts, but you're not getting the appointment, what I would do as a real estate coach at that point is say you need to work on your scripts to get the appointment. Or maybe you're great at making contacts to get the appointment, but then during the appointment you're not getting the listing, then I might want to look at your listing presentation. So what the Hustler's Hand Guide for Real Estate Agents does is it helps you, like it's a self-discovery tool, an accountability tool to do your contacts and then identify the gaps in your business.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like a blueprint.
Yeah.
And if you stick to the blueprint.
Yeah, just follow the recipe.
Right.
Just make your contacts.
What made you want to create something like this?
Yeah. Good question.
Yeah. Were you not following your own advice?
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
It has to do with control, and it feels in our industry that you have a lot more control than you do, but you ultimately don't. And when I boiled it down and ultimately realized the only thing we control is the contacts and really inspiring and influencing people to sit down with us, why would I focus on anything else I can't control? I want to spend the 80% of my time in the place I can control.
Got it.
And I also want to know when I've made enough. Like 20 contacts in a day is a lot of contacts. So I'm toying with the idea of initially having agents do it over 20 contacts, and then once their business gets into a momentum phase, then moving to 10 contacts, but implementing more systems like CRM systems. So
what motivates you to do all this? I mean, what does motivate you?
That's a great question.
A lot of stuff. Yeah. What makes you say, I want to get
Yeah, so I'm really passionate about the educational piece within real estate. I see that 85% failure rate, and it's the same statistic as going to open up a restaurant. 1 in 10 will make it.
Right.
And I'm like, why is this happening? We've got all these people who really want to be in this industry. They're taking the courses through a real estate school like Cal Realty Trainers. They get their license and then they're failing out. So I want to make it as simple as possible to really help people accomplish their goals in this industry. And then let's say they're making their contacts every day. Let's say they're doing all the activities and ultimately it doesn't align with their values or they're just not feeling it. They're not, they tried this industry, it's not for them.
Right.
Then that's fine. But I think we have a lot of people that could have been really successful in this industry that bowed out early because they didn't have like the proper training, education, tools, and systems.
Right. Now, those who bow out early, I'm glad you brought that up. Do you think coaching would help them?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
I wanted to go into the coaching department here with you.
Yeah.
You have a coach and you are a coach.
Yeah, correct.
So how important is coaching? I mean,
if
I was lacking motivation, Johnny, on a serious note, if I really want this career to happen, and I start to lack motivation because things aren't happening as quick as I wanted them to, does a coach come in and say, come on, man?
Well, they can, So there's coaches for different things.
What does a coach do?
A coach helps you be a better version of yourself.
Okay. Does that involve motivation?
It can involve motivation, yes. It could also, my coach I'm learning about the skill set of being a better out-of-state real estate investor right now, and there's also a motivational component, kind of as needed, depending on what I'm going through. Because sometimes in this industry there is a lot of rejection, and it's really nice to be able to bounce that off of a coach and have them rally behind you and encourage you and support you. And see if there's something you could have done differently to better influence the conversations you're having out there. But yeah, coaching is one of those things where I think everybody needs a coach. I look at somebody like a Tom Brady, and not only does he have Bill Belichick as his football coach, but he's got a nutritionist and he's got a trainer, and I'm sure he has a coach for every aspect of his life. And if I could afford it, I think I'd have a coach in every aspect of my life also.
What do you enjoy about coaching?
It's really fulfilling seeing somebody that's got the talent and just needs the tools, and then seeing them take off and fly. I can't really describe what it is inside of me but there's something so fulfilling about that service-based model of feeding into somebody and then seeing them go into fruition.
So on that note, I want you to give us a few skill sets that would be beneficial for somebody coming in. What kind of characteristics are positive to come into this industry with and on the right track?
Grit. Grit would be the number one thing. You need to be tough and gritty. You need to be open-minded to feedback and rejection. And ultimately, by the end of the day, not take it personal. We have no idea what the other people are dealing with on the other side of the coin. So let's say you're a real estate agent and you've built your business by door knocking or cold calling. You don't know the person on the other side of the door could have just lost a family member. They could have
good point.
Not have a job. Who knows what's going on in their life? So if they transfer what they're experiencing in life onto you, that can feel very heavy if you don't have some good boundaries in place and just that grit intact to keep moving forward. So it's not always the most talented person, but it's that person who's going to consistently show up and continue to work and work and work.
And that's where the grit comes in.
Yeah.
You got to be gritty.
Yeah, you got to be gritty.
You still gritty?
I'm still gritty, yeah. Super, super gritty.
Do you ever get tired of real estate?
No.
No?
No.
Well, let's just say, do you ever get tired in general? I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, of course. Everyone gets tired. Like oftentimes on the weekend, like a friend of mine will call and ask me about the market. And sometimes I just want to hang out with my friends or watch football or something like that. So there are times I do think it's important, no matter what we do in life, like no matter what career we go into or whatever function we perform, to ultimately disconnect from that because it's not our identity at all. And go to a place of like rest and go to a place of having fun and doing whatever you love to do in your free time, and then plugging back into that. But
you do have fun.
Oh,
I
have a lot of fun.
Don't give us the specifics.
I don't think we can't go live with the fun I have, but yes, I love to have fun.
But you did bring something up, and we'll close with this, and it's going to be a nice. This is the $1 million question. You talked about the market. This is going to be a two-parter.
Yeah.
I want Johnny's brain to tackle this question. Where do you see the market going? Right, and today it's it's August 2019. Where do you see it going? And is there a right time for a new agent to join real estate?
Good question. What
do you think?
Basically, I think I'll start with the second question because I could point to my own story of global financial crisis, but still got my license.
Nice.
That license ultimately ended up helping me get my next opportunities, which was small investment firm with guys that were flipping houses, and then ultimately a real estate sales career, and then ultimately leadership. If I didn't have that license, I wouldn't have been exposed to that opportunity. So I think it's important just to get your license if you have some interest in real estate, no matter what. I don't know if I've fully answered that question.
Yeah, I like it.
And then in regard,
have your license just in case.
Yeah, get your license. Like even if you're going to learn this industry, you'll have like a high understanding of when you go to buy your own house one day.
Nice.
Or when you go to sell your house one day. Like if you were to come to our company and go through the training, you'll know how to help make that transaction go really smooth, whether you represent yourself or you don't. You'll just have like your knowledge base will be that much more just from going through the licensing process. So I honestly think it's like a very, very fun process. And then obviously once you get the license, the whole different set of skills comes from whatever company you work with and getting trained and mentored and all that.
And your company, of course, Keller Williams Santa Monica has, from what I know.
Extensive. We're #1 company industry-wide in regards to sales training. And not only sales training, but leadership training and every sort of training out there. If you want to be a coach, you can be a coach. If you want to be a trainer and travel around to different Keller Williams just presenting presentations, you can do that. So there's all these different opportunities within the company, but it's all very much training based.
Right. So somebody who says, you know what, I'm going to get my license. This would be a great place to hang your license. Let's go to the other question. I don't want you to forget.
Yeah.
So where's the market?
Where's the market going?
What do you think? We all have an opinion.
But you tell me where the market's going and I'll invest there.
I'm not real estate anymore.
Yeah. So there's so many different indicators like gross domestic product and wages and days on market to track when you're analyzing the market. And it's hard to answer the question in general because of the different sectors. Like for instance, here in LA, our luxury market is behaving differently than our first-time home buyer market. The first-time home buyer market is still super competitive. There's oftentimes still multiple offer scenarios. And on the luxury side, you're seeing the days on market go up all the way across the board because people with a lot of money aren't sure if they want to put $10 million in cash into a house here in Beverly Hills or Santa Monica. or if they can make that money work for them somewhere else. So where is the market going? It's definitely feels like it's shifting. It's felt that way this year, but it's at one time it kind of heated up again, and then at other times it's like slowed down. But overall, like first-time home buyer market, super, super strong, super competitive.
So would it be okay for a realtor? Would it be?
Yeah. Is it a good time?
Yeah.
Challenging. You're coming in at the top of a market for sure. And let's say it stays at the top. Let's say it stays here for 5 years. It's still a pretty competitive place. It's not like 2011, 12, 13, 14 on that upswing,
right.
Where there was just opportunity everywhere. I still recommend getting the license.
Good. Now, on that note, I want to add one more question. Competition is tough. It's everywhere. However, I did see an interview with you where you mentioned sphere of influence.
Yes.
Talk about that. Is that a great place to start?
Yeah, I think it's the best place to start for real estate agents. If you have it, it's basically people that you're already in relationship with.
Okay.
They already trust you, they already know you, and now you're letting them know that you're also able to aid them when it comes to buying, selling, investing in real estate. So that's definitely where I built out my real estate business. Being from Los Angeles, I started with all my friends and family and people I knew, and then asking people I knew, who did they know looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? But sometimes, like my business partner, Nikki, she was in a scenario where she moved to Northern California and didn't know anyone. So she didn't have that luxury, and she just hit the pavement and went door knocking and started building up her business through that. But if you've got a sphere of influence, if people already know you, you're gonna wanna start there. That's what I consider low-hanging fruit.
And it's free. You don't have to. You don't have to pay anything. You just call them or it doesn't cost you a dime.
Yeah, I believe in leading with revenue if you're able to, and I still think in this industry, like in regards to your sphere of influence, that's how you start off in this industry. And then if you've exhausted that avenue, you can look at like door knocking, cold calling, and then after that stuff, even open houses. After that stuff, then you might want to start looking. Paid directions after that.
Fantastic. Hey, Johnny, thanks for coming today.
Yeah, of course.
You've given us some great, what do you call it, fruit for thought?
Food
for thought? You gave us a lot of great food for thought.
Yeah, of course. You guys are wonderful.
I think we covered everything. All the questions I wanted to ask you. Anything else you want to share with us that you think is of importance to a brand new agent, or in general, man? As far as somebody wanting to go into leadership, because that's good. I've thought about leadership myself. Never really knew how to get there.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to get into leadership.
You are in leadership. Look at what you're doing with your company.
Yeah.
Look how you scaled. Yeah. Were you in this beautiful building, a few years back? No.
This was all a dream, and to me, it's still a dream.
Yeah, you're in more offices.
But grit, you said that. Gritty. That's great. If you want something bad enough,
you just go get it.
Just go get it.
Just go get it.
I think Keller Williams has it in their Ignite class where they say there's 3 ways to make business. You can wait for it.
Yeah.
You can pay for it, or you can go out and get it.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah. If people are eating dinner and there's not a seat at the table for you, you got to make your own seat.
That's right.
At the table.
That's right. So where can people find you?
Yeah. So on Instagram is going to be the main place. It's at Johnny G Properties is my handle. Also available on LinkedIn, Facebook, pretty much all the social media channels. My direct email address is johnnygg@kw.com. And phone number, I will give you my office line, is 310-482-2144. Again, that's 310-482-2144.
Excellent.
So, and please reach out to me, any questions about getting into the industry. Or in addition to that, joining Keller Williams or joining a real estate brokerage.
Excellent. So, thanks for coming, man.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Great interview.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Hey, thanks for watching this last video. Hope you enjoyed it. I sure did. Hey, do us a favor. If you think a family member or a friend would also enjoy it, why don't you share it with them? I guarantee it, they're going to get something out of it. In addition, if you have any comments, questions, or a topic you want us to discuss, hey, leave it down in the comments section. And one last thing. If you haven't subscribed yet, what the hell are you waiting for? Do it right now. Hope to see you next week.